This session is the first one on the cyber threats, cyber security area of the ITU Forum. And we're starting with His Excellency, Mr. Jan Parts, who is the Minister in the Ministry of Economic Affairs and Communications of Estonia. Mr. Eugene Kaspersky, raise your hand when thank you. CEO and founder, everyone knows, of Kaspersky Lab in Russia. We have Mr. Carlos Moreira, who is the CEO and founder of Wisekey. Where are you, Carlos? Okay, there you are. Good. We have Mr. Shihiro Sawada, who is Vice President of NEC Corporation in Japan. I just want to get everyone vaguely in alphabetical order. Yes, Mr. Mohammed Shihab, who's a technical advisor to the Chairman's Office at the International Multilateral Partnership Against Cyber Threats, known as IMPACT, in Malaysia. And Mr. Carlos Solari, who is Vice President of Central Quality, Security, Reliability at Alcatel-Lucent in the U.S. So, Minister, perhaps we can start right off with you, sir. This cooperation could work. Well, what are you talking about? Only intergovernmental agreements, or are there other kinds that you would envisage? Perhaps you can give some examples, too, of the things that you've been doing. Carlos.
Thank you, Maria. The point I am making is that security is becoming more and more focused on the user. We are thinking yet, and this is the work done by governments and international organizations and enterprises, as an infrastructure. But the infrastructure, the reality is, and the infrastructure is unsecure. The web, which was invented in Geneva, was not designed to carry what we're carrying today. Everything that we are putting, all those layers that we are putting on the top of the web, which are many of them marketing, are just because the web is totally unsecure. The web actually was designed by physicists with the objective to transfer data faster without any problem, because they were working on a private network. Now we are adding everything to the web. So in our experience, has been basically the only way that we can use the web as a secure environment is by increasing the security of the user. We are in a society now that we are moving towards 4 billion SIMs on the market. We are moving towards 7 in a few years, in 2014. Projections by 2020 is going to be 50 billion connections. Now we are adding soft SIMs into products. The Internet of Things is arriving there. So now we are not only be connecting people, mobiles, but also devices. Again, all that is on the top of this primitive infrastructure, which was designed for something else. So the way to solve that is, number one is maybe enterprises need to stop marketing ideas like cloud computing. Cloud computing, we're going back again to the mainframe terminal environment. Basically, a cloud computer is a mainframe, which depends less on the computers in between the user and the mainframe. So, and the reason why cloud computing is coming is because we are not able to solve the security issues of the World Wide Web. So I think what governments are realizing now that the Internet, and we are talking now Internet 3 and Web 2, they are something which is an infrastructure they have to handle at national level. This is a national government responsibility. It's like water, like roads, like buildings. This is something the government has to look as, this is my infrastructure. My government has to interconnect everything into that infrastructure. Therefore, I have to pay the same attention that I will pay to build a energy plant or a water desalination plant or whatever is going to be important for my citizens. Governments among themselves should start to think about what are going to be the standards and what are going to be the cross-certification rules and international treaties that will allow that infrastructure to talk to each other. Because one of the advantages of the web that from day one was compatible, and that was actually why everything started. But now, as we are adding so many other things, legislation has to be added. It's not enough just
national registration,
national legislation, which will be inspired by international standards, such as ITU standards in X509 for digital identification, standards or UMTS. ITU has provided many of the blockbuster standards that today has become a multi-billion-dollar industry. So that reflection has to continue. In the other side, and this is something that has started with the European Union and also now in NAFTA, is regional interoperability. There is actually a project now in the European Union where citizens in Estonia, which is one of the most advanced countries in Europe, that has certified citizen in Estonia with a national ID card, that certification is also valid for other countries in Europe. So that's already a very good trend towards avoiding repeating again and again and again the process. Because that means an Estonian citizen now traveling to France can use a national ID card to provide a service, which obviously will not be political services, but will be services that can enjoy while they are in France. So I believe that, first of all, we have to, and again, I am from the private sector. I was before in the UN, so I understand the marketing need of private sector companies to sell their products. But maybe we have to rewind back and really have a serious discussions among ourselves, especially now that developing countries are emerging as the next user of this technology. What are the critical advice that we can give to them to empower their citizens and provide to the citizens a tool on which they can securely start to use the internet as a transactional mechanism?
Thank you very much. I'm going to just pick up on this. We have people, a minister here and somebody who's worked in government in the U.S. An international user ID card. How would the U.S. citizen respond to that? How would you, Minister? How does it work? Tell us about it.
Thank you. I will show you how it looks like, maybe.
Yes.
It's very easy, actually, the card where you can travel, which all the people like, and you have a special unique code here, which is, by the way, in our country is managed by a public and private partnership. It's not just something government.
Maria, if I may...
Carlos, yes.
Yeah, Carlos to Carlos. I have really a question for you as a telco. Why, having such a big deployment capability, we just don't increase the security on the SIMs? Why this is becoming so difficult for telcos to take this step, which is actually a technical, very basic step, just to put a digital identification of every user that has a mobile phone on a SIM, so everything that happens from that mobile phone becomes transactional from that data on. This is a responsibility from telcos now to do basically what you're preaching, increasing the security on a device that you control. And this is not yet in the market. If we have the capability to bring all the telcos to increase security on the SIM, we are already solving many of the problems you're referring.
Carlos, too.
All right, so we are on the same page on that. I believe that those are the kinds of things to protect end devices, end users, that is absolutely necessary. The one part that I don't necessarily fully agree with is that end user, end device security is really sufficient, because you really, particularly when you look at nations who have to worry about the infrastructure itself, you need the security, the robustness, the availability of the networks all the way through. So I'm with you on that entirely, and the
questions that you asked, and you asked some technical